As the situation worsens in the nightmare that is Venezuela, the United States has decided to flex its diplomatic muscle in an attempt to unseat Nicolas Maduro and replace him with the opposition leader, Juan Guaido. Multiple organizations and countries have thrown their support behind Guaido, considering him the head of the new legitimate government, the National Assembly, which was sidelined by Maduro last year. Among the countries which support Guaido are the US, Canada, UK, Brazil, and most of the other South American nations. The majority of Europe has called for new elections, while Russia, China, and Iran have thrown their support behind Maduro. Guaido faces a host of challenges. At the moment, the military and all other government functions are still controlled by Maduro. A number of officials have defected, but not enough to leave the National Assembly with de facto power over the country's institutions. This alone poses multiple problems. Most obviously, without power over the government, Guaido cannot get anything done. And most dangerously, with Maduro maintaining control over the military and the police, Guaido and his supporters could be arrested at any moment. To fight this, according to Bloomberg, Guaido is engaging in numerous speaking events and urging his supporters to distribute copies of a legislative measure that would extend amnesty and forgiveness to members of the armed forces who abandoned the socialist regime. Maduro may or may not attempt to imprison his opposition, but the international spotlight may deter such an action at this point. In order to put pressure on the now deemed illegitimate president, the United States will employ a variety of diplomatic tactics. The Associated Press reports that the White House will impose sanctions on the state-owned oil company PDVSA, known by the Spanish acronym PDVSA, which is estimated to cut more than $11 billion in export revenue next year. The U.S. will also call on the Bank of England to freeze Venezuela's $1.2 billion in gold reserves, which accounts for 15% of Venezuela's foreign currency reserves. The U.S. will allow certain exceptions to continue operation in the United States, such as Citgo, which is a subsidiary of PDVSA. However, any money which would normally go back to Venezuela will have to go into a blocked account where the money will sit indefinitely in an attempt to further strangle Maduro's regime. It was suggested by Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin that these funds could be made available to Guaido. Indeed, when Guaido is fully in control of Venezuela's oil company, the sanctions may be completely lifted, Mnuchin confirmed. The United States would likely request the support of the United Nations in tightening sanctions on Maduro's regime. However, being that some states will support the current regime, those sanctions would likely be vetoed. Amid the international push for Maduro's resignation, the dictatorial leader is doubling down and attempting to secure support of the military and police forces in the country. His success or failure depends ultimately on his ability to maintain power through these forces. Though the majority of the military is currently loyal to the sitting president, if he is unable to pay them and unable to feed them, even the most loyal supporters may look for new leadership. This is the struggle that Maduro will face as a result of the sanctions, which will cut off revenue from the last profitable export Venezuela has. Maduro initially ordered all U.S. personnel to leave the country within 72 hours, but that has been extended to 30 days. He is also now seeking a meeting with President Donald Trump, but it may be too late as the U.S. has already officially recognized Juan Guaido as the official leader of Venezuela. It is unclear the direction which Venezuela will take. The U.S. and others are placing tremendous pressure on Maduro, and we have been assured that no options are off the table. John Bolton's notepad was even photographed with the note, 5,000 troops to Colombia. There is no way to tell whether this is a plan, simply an option being discussed, or if this was intentionally revealed in order to stoke fear within the current regime. Regardless of the path that is chosen, the regime established by the once beloved Hugo Chavez and now run by the reviled Nicolas Maduro is not long for this world. The only question is how bloody of a revolution it will be.